I'm glad to welcome you on the EUDR in Practice webinar. I'm glad that Rob Shaw has agreed to be with us here today and to cover the parts of the PEFC chain of custody. Yeah, as we'll announce, I mean, shortly we're working with PFC in a close collaboration. So, as you have seen in the agenda of our today's meeting, we just want to focus on UDR, the highlights, then talk about the PFC UDR chain of custody. Rob will introduce that, and then I will cover our Timber ID solution, as well as the live presentation of the system. So once again, many thanks for joining us in the UDR in Practice implementation journey, which will take an hour. And if there'll be more questions, we'll spend time for you to be here and answer all of them. So just wanted to say, fasten your seat belts, not because a turbulence will occur, hopefully, in the next weeks and months, but because we want to bring you to a safe journey in order that you can get UDR the compliant, irrespective of your place in the supply chain, and get all support which you need from us to have a really professional due diligence process. So I'll give the voice now to Rob to give us the introduction of PFC UDR chain of custody, that everybody can understand what is happening now here and how PFC is addressing this important topic, which is getting hotter and hotter in the days coming. So now we have almost like 3 months to go to the UDR in force. Just to remind everyone, basically we're now 2 years anniversary when the EU Parliament has voted about the EUDR, which was then processed by the European Commission and published in May 2023. So yeah, it's a long time behind us and a short time to go to get really the compliant. So please, Rob, I'm passing the voice to
you. Yes, thanks, Swapan, and good morning, everybody. I will apologize straight away because I was on holiday last week and my travels home were disrupted by flight cancellations. So I only arrived home late last night, and I've been scrabbling around this morning on another webinar actually to present. So what I will do is I will talk you through the PEFC chain of custody EUDR module. And in actual fact, I'm just now locating some slides, which I can then share with you if you just bear with me for one more second. No, in fact, sorry, I'm going to struggle to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk you through where we're at with the EUDR chain of custody modular standard. Over the past 12 months, we developed, from a chain of custody point of view, a modular standard which complements our existing chain of custody standard and scheme. The standard was published on our website in July, and it's available for download from the library section of the PEFC International website, which is pefc.org. All of the PEFC certification is delivered by third-party certification bodies. And in order to deliver that to chain of custody organizations, those certification bodies require accreditation. So right now, the accreditation process is happening with accreditation bodies around the world. And there are two different scenarios. In the European area, which is part of what's called the European Accreditation, or EA for short, PEFC has to obtain approval. So we have applied for our standard to be approved by Accredia, the international accreditation, so the Italian accreditation body, which is the home accreditation body of PEFC International. And they are reviewing the technical assessment right now in September and October. We have no control over that process, but we are hoping that the Accredia will approve the standard for use in the European accreditation area before the end of 2024. In the rest of the world, the accreditation bodies in each country are in the process of approving and accrediting certification bodies, and those certification bodies will then be offering the EUDR modular standard and scope to certified organizations in the coming months. So we expect the first certificates to be issued towards the end of 2024. What this specifically means for certified organizations is that in order for them to take on board the EUDR modular standard, they will need to follow all the extra requirements in that standard. And to summarize, the standard has been written to align with the EUDR regulations. So the big changes are that organizations will need to define which products and product groups they wish to have the extra EUDR scope for. And then they will need to collect species information for those products and product groups. And they will then need to collect geolocation data and harvesting date range data for all of the European Union bound or European Union originating trade. Obviously, this presents a big technological challenge, and so that's why we are officially partnering with Deeplai, because as Swapan is going to explain to you, the technology will do most of the heavy lifting in terms of creating and sharing the data along supply chains. So throughout the summer and continuing into the autumn, we have been training certification bodies and certification body auditors so that they will be able to audit against the new standard. And one of the most critical points in the new standard and in the regulations is that the forests where the material is being harvested have to be shown to be deforestation free. So this is all explained in the standard. And again, this is where the technology comes in handy to check using satellite technology that those forests are not being subject to deforestation and conversion to agriculture. We at PEFC International have over 12,000 chain of custody certificates worldwide, and that represents almost 30,000 chain of custody enterprises who are trading globally around the world in forest and timber-based products. We expect a large majority of those certificates to take up the EUDR modular standard. And obviously the benefits are that the European Union recognize voluntary certification as a positive tool to help with compliance and to help with alignment. And in fact, this is what we saw when the European Union timber regulations were introduced a few years ago. And we are in direct dialogue with many of the EU competent authorities. And we expect that in practical terms, if you are PEFC chain of custody certified and you take the extra EUDR module, then you will be lowering your risk significantly of running into any EUDR problems. So maybe that's a good summary from me for now, and I'll hand back to Swapan and can carry on with the webinar. Obviously, if anyone has any questions, please type them into the chat and I will answer them as we go along. Thanks, Swapan.
Yeah, many thanks, Rob. I will now move to the part which is related to Timber ID and our solution, which will support our customers, the stakeholders in the supply chain, in the forestry, to get compliant. Yeah. So just to give an introduction, I will move to a presentation. Just a second. Yeah. So to begin with, we will not focus here on the regulatory the complexity during our presentation. We'll focus on the simple, efficient, and affordable way how to get the compliant. And I trust that Timber ID solution will answer all those the questions. The due diligence process needs to be well documented, justified, and it's very important to understand that the information the gathering, which is happening at the forest, and just to remind everyone, the operator is the company which is for the first time moving the timber to the market. It means the forest or the owner or organization which is representing the forest owners are the first body as an operator under EUDR to submit the due diligence statement. So it is really key here to understand why the first mile information is so important for the entire supply chain. Yeah. We can observe here on the market there is a lot of offerings just related to the satellite imagery analysis, which is great. It's just one of the risk mitigation actions which we need to take. Usually is done on an annual basis with a reference date of 20, but we need to take a number of other actions in the due diligence process, because the level of the risk assessment, risk mitigation measures which we're taking, it's our responsibility to justify them in front of the competent authority once we will be approached on an audit process. So let's focus now on understanding where your organization is in the supply chain and what are the specific actions you need to take. Yeah. But let's focus now, because everything begins at the forest. I want to talk about it at the first stage. I got a question if the webinar is recorded. Yes, it is recorded, and the recording will be shared. So as Rob was mentioning, we're very glad to acknowledge that we're the technology partner of PFC since a few weeks, and we're supporting anyone who is in the PFC environment, and not only with the solution. Our solution, Timber ID, is timber specific. We as a company are on the market for over 5 years, and we began the journey with the timber identification in 2021, and began the journey with the EUDR due diligence understanding, and offering a platform in 2022, just after it was it was announced. So our platform Timber ID was ready and launched in May 2024. I think the first one on the market, and we had the occasion to participate on an annual meeting of the PFC in Paris, in France, and this was the first place where we could present it. So when we look at the first mile, we need to understand that the information gathering is at the forest, basically at the moment of the harvesting. Yeah, there is one thing to understand is that the process we need to comply, as I mentioned, with the satellite imagery report analysis made on an annual base, which give us a real evidence if something is moving on in the right direction or not. But we're looking at every transaction. So every transaction needs to be assessed in our due diligence process accordingly with appropriate risk assessment and risk mitigation actions, getting the proof of compliance. And this we need to understand. So our first mile methodology is really focusing on that. We're really understanding that once we'll have the information, the gathering managed in a proper way with the full evidence and documentation, will make the life of the rest of the supply chain very easy, because we'll be able to uh, demonstrate and present the evidence. That's very important, because we know that the other supply chain stakeholders, who are also the operators, are liable for having the capability to check the process, the due diligence until the source. So by having the first mile methodology, we're really enabling it to be recognized on the market as a good supplier, and to get the business the growing on that. And also, it's very important to be said here that the first mile approach is very different when we look at the country specific. Are we talking about a low risk area, standard risk area, or high risk area? That are the definitions in the EUDR. And we can make one comment, which is for sure. If you're in a high risk area, you need a physical traceability of your products. Otherwise, your evidence will be difficult to be accepted by a authority once the audit will take place. Yeah. In our approach, understanding the complexity of the supply chain and looking at the first mile, but also looking at the rest of the supply chain, especially the producers, which are dependent really on the suppliers, dependent on all the data which the suppliers will prepare in a due diligence process. So in our platform, Timber ID, we have a partnership functionality, which is enabling document sharing on a selective mode, keeping the data privacy of every and each of the supply chain parties, and giving the right evidence, so we know exactly in this process who was sharing what and when. It's very important once we're coming to the part where we're talking about the audit. So having the supply chain under the Timber ID platform, it will be fully automated. The audit process, which is the downstream audit process, where the manufacturer can easily require information on a transaction, which is usually done. The audit are related to a percentage of the business, and gather all the required information in order to be able to create an audit and an analysis and a report. So it's very, very important to understand how we're having the collaboration within the supply chain, and how we can address at the end the audit, which is from the top, down. Later in the presentation, I'll explain why it is possible and affordable when we are using the Timber ID platform. So now this second level of enabling the due diligence process to have the right evidence, we have introduced in in our platform a digital delivery note process, which is as well giving a closed loop and evidence of the transactions, so we can easily have a full acknowledgement and evidence of a delivery in a digital delivery note. And once we're having, as an example, the timber logs at a sawmill, there are processes where we can pass the provenance from a log to a board or a batch number of a pallet of boards, which are the products to be sold at the level from the sawmill to the producers. We can do it also for other uh, products, and if somebody is interested, we can go in this specifics. Now the authentication module, which you'll see shortly in our platform, is giving you the evidence when you want really to have the physical traceability of an item, and the full evidence is provided with all information, which is also gathered within the process. As I said at the beginning, one of the ways how to assess um, um, the geolocation where the timber was harvested is a satellite digital analysis report. We're having it as well in our platform. So now the digital delivery node, we're showing here different real life, cases. Are we talking about a wood chipping timber supply? We're talking about a sawmill timber supply. We're talking about the lumber timber supply, or we're talking about the export import business where we're getting the logs or lumber in a container. Yeah. So here by applying a physical traceability methodology, which will be covered, we can achieve it, and we can have the full evidence in our system in the digital delivery node process. So excuse me, this satellite imagery and deforestation and analysis, I don't need to go to the specifics which are here. Everybody can have a look. They're covering all the requirements by the EUDR regulatory obligations, and obviously it is done on a forest plot level of the coordinates of the forest plot, usually at an annual base, and obviously it has to be done at an annual base at the seasons of the year where we can get the best analysis done. So in terms of our geography, is obviously done in the spring or summertime. So now in our system, we're still having the reference to 223, but shortly now in Q4, it will be moved to 224, and all this data will be shown as well. Now we're coming to the point that we need to create a due diligence statement. It's basically a set of data, which in our platform is the data of the forest, data of the product, and data of the company. Now it's very important to be said here that the creation of the due diligence statement, it's one thing, it's technicality. Yeah, we're having here a robust built-in API connectivity which will do it automatically. We're mentioning here all the important elements which need to be run by you in a due diligence process. Yeah, so you need to document all the measures you took and the assessments which gave you the authority to submit this due diligence statement into EU Traces platform. So just when we look at it, and there are a lot of questions that I can get a DDS and I can attach it as a reference and I can move on. Sure, as a technicality in the way we're doing it, it's possible you can attach multiple DDSs, but you need to understand that you're responsible for a due diligence of your supply chain. Yeah. So it's not about just physically moving a DDS from one file to other file. It's about understanding how your supplier has provided the due diligence process at his end, and if you are happy to have him as a supplier or not. So, as I say, the physical way of creating the due diligence statement and receiving a number and filing the number, keeping the documentation for 5 years, that is our obligation. Any competent authority from any EU country can check the entire supply chain. That also a number of questions were that, oh, it's the country competent authority will check the companies which are registered and based in the country. No, any competent authority within the supply chain, if the products are moved from one country within EU to the other, has the right to provide the audit. So please have this in mind. That is a very important thing to know. So wanted to put a little bit step aside. We're talking about, the authentication, process, the way how we at Deeplai in our Timber ID platform are handling it. So everybody is aware that if there is a physical marking of a log, it's usually done, today by a plastic tag with a barcode, with a RFID tag, with a metal tag, with a foil, QR code, for example, print, or with just an ink spray of a alphanumeric, code. That is the ways it's done. It is today. We are offering to replace it by, as we call it, a decode, or proprietary variable code marking. It is an alphanumeric code which is generated at the forest at the moment is being applied. So it has exact geolocation by 2 meters, timestamp by 1 second. So if we will apply this methodology on a timber log, especially in the high risk the countries, it will enable us to have the full evidence and proof in the entire supply chain from the forest till this sawmill, and then further with the products to the, let's say, importer in EU, to say, okay, here is the full evidence, and we can just give the guarantee that our process is in line and we have the right tools in place. The decode and the methodology which we're using is basically unfakeable. It's eco-friendly because we're not using any consumables. So by the definition, it is cost-effective. So anyone who is replacing now his current methodology of code marking with the decode is simply enjoying a saving, and it's really huge. Up to 7 to 80% of the current cost is the difference when we are using the decode. So for those who is applicable, have in mind that this technology is available within the Timber ID solution. So to make a short summary of the first mile, we believe that is the key element for the entire supply chain, to have the right data gathering and evidence that our data are correct, because we're liable, we're responsible for that. And our due diligence process needs to document it in a way that once we're facing the audit, we're able to present the way and methodologies we're using in our organization. So Now moving to the UDR challenges, we're working with the clients for years now. We're talking to them. We know what problems they're having depending where they are. So you'll see that the platform is really very easy to use, and we're addressing those challenges which are faced. Today. So just to highlight just a few of them, yeah, the data security and privacy of every stakeholder. Yes, it's protected. Yeah, we're working with external the consultants to deliver a tailor-made risk assessment on a country level, where our application is worldwide, used in different the countries, many miles away from place where we are. So we're not experts in understanding the local the conditions, but we are working with experts, specialists who are supporting us, and we could link them with you to get the right support. It's related not only to the level of the first mile, the forest ownership, it's related to the level of the manufacturers as well. Are you a manufacturer? You want to understand and get a support how to implement EUDR in your organization? Please reach out and we'll be happy to support you. Very, very important element here from the list, my favorite, which not all the stakeholders get at the beginning, is the requirement of the EUDR segregation of wood with non-compliance. Yeah? So your process, your due diligence process, your supply chain process should allow you to segregate a non-compliant delivery. Because if you are not capable to do it, and you will face the situation that it happens, it can happen, obviously, you need to inform the market that your products are being produced from a non-compliant source of timber, which is not the best, I would say, level of market PR and approach. At the same time, the downstream audit is very, very important, especially when we're at the end of this supply chain. We need to understand that we're responsible for the entire supply chain till the source. So having that responsibility, we need to have the appropriate due diligence process with our suppliers, sub-suppliers, suppliers of the suppliers, depending on the complexity. And if we can handle it in an automated mode, it will give us a lot of benefits. So now coming to the part which is related to the offering or the acquisition, model which we are proposing to our the customers. And I know that we're very unique on this one. So first, our acquisition model is based on an annual license access fee. Yeah, it depends on the size of your organization. So equal access to the platform, which means equal functionality. Everything is at the same level. You can pay €100 if you are a small forest owner, as an example. You can pay more depending on the size of your company, or when you're a large organization. And here, we're dealing with companies already with hundreds of millions of euros the revenues. Yes, you'll pay. More, or we are a very, very large company. Then obviously it is on a individual case. But this approach makes it really affordable, that within the supply chain, the stakeholders can use the same platform at a different acquisition fee, keeping all the functionality, especially with gathering the information and sharing the information within the members of the supply chain. So you'll see in the platform we'll have a so-called partnership functionality, and this functionality is enabling to share selectively the documentation which is required, and we know exactly who shared one and what and when. And this evidence is very important in the due diligence process. The rest of the fees which are related with using the Timber ID platform are transparent. They are at the pay as you use mode. It means you'll see in your account your level of storage, file processing, file transfers, and you will see what are the costs for that. In case you're dealing with the authentication process, you'll require the mobile apps and the hardware, and that is done on a separate base. So mobile apps have the pricing in the on the cloud, and the hardware basically there is a unique price list, and depending on the volumes, obviously it is a case to case way how we are approaching it. Yeah. So once again, to emphasize, our Timber ID platform is affordable by all stakeholders in the entire supply chain. And you can agree with me that once we begin with the level of €100 at the start on an annual base, we're not really talking about a significant investment into being the compliant. The number of the benefits of the platform, just to get through it in a fast mode, it is a Amazon Web Services cloud with the architecture of auto-scalability, reliability, redundancy. It is secure to use, and no, it is affordable, as I say, and the file processing is done in a very fast mode. For a larger account, will not notice at all that it is in the cloud, and his number of files are big. So all these functionalities which are required and which are the challenges of the EUDR due diligence process are in our platform. Now we have a special offering for our PFC the community. So the forest owners with the forest management PFC certificate are invited to enjoy from the special offering, which is first 25 forest owners within the next 25 days will just pay €25 for the first annual license access fee. That is our special offer and gesture for the partnership with PFC. We respect it a lot. We recognize it a lot, and we know that there are multiple small and medium-sized organizations, and we want to help them to get compliant and get onboarded. So I trust that there will be someone in the audience, or it will be shared later. So as I said, next 25 days will be the timing to enjoy the 25th anniversary of PFC, where we came to this idea of presenting a special offer to you. So we're now inviting you to have a safe and effective journey with us to the UDR execution, and I will move to the presentation of the platform. Let me just check questions. So somebody placed a link. Okay, we'll have a look later on that link. Yeah, there is a very specific question from a customer from Poland. Let me go through the presentation of the platform live. Hope it will answer the question, and I will then address it at the end of the presentation. Yeah. Okay, good. So let's move now to the platform. Okay, here we are. So at the beginning, I wanted to say that the architecture of the platform, the way we are approaching our customers, is based on a month of discussion at the field, discussion with the experts in the sustainability, in order to bring to you a solution which is easy to implement. So as you have seen in the offering, our implementation is, first of all, it's free of charge, and secondly, it takes within 1 day. Yeah, so you don't need to spend a lot of time on the understanding how the platform or the technological part is working. You need to spend some time in gathering the information in the platform. That's obvious, but once you do it, you'll then just use the platform and the benefit out of it. Yeah. So you can see it is very simple and understandable. That's the feedback we're getting. So let's drive the car. You are an organization, so you're the admin of your account. You have your users, as we have in our organization. I mean, users. You can select different roles and responsibilities, and there is a robust API key for functionality for any integrations. Yeah, are you going for a integration within your ERP system or other systems which you think is required? Is fine. We're happy to support you here on that and giving you the capability of doing that by using the API, I mean keys. Yeah. So let's focus at the beginning, and that's very, very essential to learn. Yeah, our pay-as-you-use approach. You're the admin of your account. You're the master of your show. You see your number of files you store. It's your due diligence, I mean, process. It's your cloud, and you're simply covering the costs of your cloud instance on the Timber ID platform. Yeah. So you see your data which you are using. You see your billing. Yeah. So you manage it. Yeah. And this approach gives really full transparency of the operating, I mean, costs. We're not going plan A, plan B, plan C, telling you need to pay this amount of money for this functionality. No, all functionalities are equal to, and anyone, as I mentioned, paying little more or even much more depending on the size of the company. Still, the license annual fees are at a low level. You can just compare it. You can see we never heard anyone offering a platform to a user on an annual base for 100, 300, 500, euros as we have now. Yeah? So that is a very important part. Then we go to the modules. We got the authentication module for traceability, especially at the first mile, is related just to the first mile. And then we have the EUDR due diligence, I mean, process, which is related to every operator working under EUDR. We're just mentioning here, we have a list of species which are being received from PEFC. You can just simply select the species and have it in the process, because once, as Rob was mentioning, you will go through the chain of custody process is also linked with the exact geolocation of the forest plot with the species there. So we're simply keeping it in line with the species. Yeah. I mentioned the partnership. Yeah. So maybe to give it to you on an example. Yeah. You're a sawmill. You have 100 suppliers, 200, suppliers. Yeah. If all of them are using Timber ID and sharing the data with you, the data obviously which are required, not all the data, the privacy of the data is with each of them, they're paying really little depending on their size. Yeah. So they can afford to have our platform. they are not asked to use our platform and insert data in our platform, yeah, because they're not supplying only us. They're supplying multiple other stakeholders in different supply chains. They are also the operators, so they need to create a due diligence statement. So when we observe, different approaches, we simply don't understand them, because the real approach should be you as a forest owner, placing the product for the first time on the market, have the obligation to create a due diligence statement. And as an example, we're speaking with our colleagues in Austria, 132,000 forest owners in the Austria. Yeah. So are you placing once a year, let's say, two tracts of timber on the market? You're an operator. You need a system. So that is the offer. We're listening to the market and we're saying, okay, dear customer, 100 euros per year, and just enjoy and use the platform. So once you're linked now as a partner, so basically you're doing here the invitation. Yeah, you can invite yourself. So a producer can invite all his sawmills, for example. If he's a furniture manufacturer, he'll invite his sawmillers. Sawmillers can invite their suppliers, and everybody is linked in a supply chain. Here they're selectively sharing the documentation which needs to be shared. You know exactly who shared what and when. So the full evidence is there. And as you will see now, when we'll go to the EUDR part, you'll go through your all assessments and mitigation, parts. Yeah. So basically, when you look at it, you can just select any plot here. So I'm selecting a plot. I'll go to the editing mode. Yeah. So in the system, you can use your mouse. You can paint the coordinates of the plot if you wish. You can import the JSON files of the plot. So you have the plot. You can put all the information which you are willing to put there. Obviously, in the due diligence process, then you have your risk assessment and mitigation parts. So basically, here in this case, they're empty. But let me, I think, move to this plot. Okay, yeah. So here we got one mitigation action, which is a satellite imagery analysis report, which is stored here, was created and is stored here. Yeah. So we can here use a check of a corruption index. So is the forest owner from outside EU country, and we want to check him. So that is our obligation to know who is this supplier. We can do so. We can use different links here for any documentation we need, and basically depending, as I say, on where we're in the supply chain, but obviously the geolocations are important. So we need to keep the evidence of the plots. Yeah. So once we're here we have one tab. We click, and a deforestation report is here. Is being generated in the system within like 5 minutes. Of course, depends on the size of the plot, and automatically the PDF is stored here. Yeah. So let me just move and show you a deforestation report. I'm showing this case, but because it's quite important and interesting. Case. So in one of the processes, we're asked to present a deforestation report on a forest plot in Scotland. Yeah. So what we did, basically, we found in the offering, so there is a forest plot for sale. Yeah, good. So we took the coordinates of the plot. We have generated this a report, and actually we were surprised to find out maybe that's the reason it was for sale, because it's deforested. Yeah. So automatically, the system will get all the analysis. You will get the report. If it is green, it means it's okay, or there is any risk, it will be written, or it will be written, stop. That's not the forest plot you would like to source the timber. That's not the forest plot you would like to acquire and have as the next one in your portfolio. So as you see, it is a robust document. So here it is mentioned, it is a high deforestation. Yeah, that is blinking the red light. Okay, in our due diligence process, we need to really take care of that, have understanding, and try not to source the timber from here. So I've chosen that on purpose, just to emphasize that even within EU, somebody thinks it's, well, everybody is a low risk, etc. Now, within EU or within Europe, because UK is no more EU, but we can find plots of land, and this is not a small plot of land, it's 47 hectares, which are deforested. Yeah. So we need really to get this kind of annual analysis report to make sure that we have fulfilled this obligation. But at the same time, as I say, there's just one element of the due diligence process. You need to take actions, and you need to build the evidence. Yeah. So I'm back now in the platform. As I mentioned, this report is filed to the forest plot, and you have it. I mean there. So now we're moving to the companies. I can select any as well. Go to the editing mode. So you're basically, or you're importing the data from your ERP system. You can type them yourself, depending how you're willing to populate the data. But obviously, once you do it, you have it then. So it is a one-off exercise, right? So one of the key elements of the due diligence process and the risk assessment mitigation is the legality. So you're gathering the legal documents, registration document, VAT document, other documents. Yeah. As in the forest plot, you're gathering, if there is in the country, the forest management plan, license, ownership of the forest plots. All the documentation needs to be gathered here in the risk assessment and mitigation process. So here we're coming to also the links which can be used in the platform. So you can link it automatically. You can create a Dun & Bradstreet for financial statement report to have the analysis, PFC certification, FSC certification, the corruption index as well, to understand if the company or the individual is not really listed. You can use the preferred by nature documentation to create your process. So the process is here, and basically once you do it, you'll have it, right? So now we shall move to the products. Yeah. So you can basically see here as well. You can edit. So you get the list of the products. You get the HS number if that product is having this number. So you'll know exactly, for example, is a board this size, etc. species. And our recommendation is, once you're at the first mile, obviously, to create the risk mitigation based on the authentication report, which I'll move to the authentication platform. So you can add here the species, you can add whatever documentation you still want to have, and you are building your risk assessment and mitigation process related to the product. So once you're having it, yeah, we're moving to the due diligence to the UDR transaction. It's basically gathering the information from the databases, which is here. And once our system will have the capability, and we're working now very closely with the team on the EU side with the traces to complete the API, the connectivity. The due diligence statement will be submitted automatically. The number will be gathered and saved here with you and the platform. So once again, to remind, 5 years you need to keep all documentations here. Now, wanted to move to the authentication. I'm in part. Obviously, here we need to understand that it is related to the first mile. Yeah, but obviously, you being at the top part of the supply chain, you still have the obligation of the due diligence to have the evidence and check until the source. So it could be also interesting for you to see how it is handled in your supply chain at the beginning. Yeah. So basically here the timber logs were coded with our decode. The app was shooting the image sourcing. The measurements have been done. So that is the source file. Then we got a verification file. So once you receive the product, let's say at the sawmill or at a trader is doing the verifications. The verification is simply getting the image sourcing of it to a file. You're moving to reports. Yeah, so here we have automatically a full report. On purpose, it's not matching, just to show you that the system is working. You can see the results. You can download it, keep it as evidence as well. And here you basically see and you know exactly what's the source, what is the verification, and all information with the exact geolocation data, timestamp data, etc., etc., etc. So it is a very robust system which is enabling you to get really the good evidence at the first mile and proof that you're taking care of the origin of the geolocation. So geolocation, once again, is the forest plot. Great. You need to do the satellite and imagery analysis report. You need to see if it is deforested or not deforested. It needs to be done at least on an annual basis. You can do it more often. As you have seen our system, one click report there, and you can file it. You can use it. And in the high-risk countries or whenever you decide, you can go through the physical traceability and creating authentication reports and keeping them in your in your file. Yeah? So as you can see, system is very simple, very easy to understand, very easy to implement on the technological part. And once again, to emphasize, we're working with a number of consultants at the first mile and at the industry part to help our customers to implement the system and give them recommendation what and how needs to be done to make the journey for you as easy as possible. Yeah. So I hope I have give the main the highlights. We're inviting everyone to reach out, to us and get a specific questions and answers to that. Yeah. So just if I go to the questions, Timber ID platform English only now. Today it is English, German, and Polish. We'll be adding Spanish and Portuguese. Yeah. So let's say all the key languages will be covered. Um, should we only consider buying from a plot that is entirely green on Timber ID, even one of the tiny part is, red. The colors green and red. Yes, identify the green as go, red is not go, but it is more about the detailed information in the report you will read. Yeah, on purpose, I have chosen a report which is presenting deforestation. It's happening. Yeah. So yes, you will get the full evidence, and yes, if you see that, you should not source the timber from this place. Yeah? Can I also import export existing geolocation data from an geolocation system of other formats? We need to get a discussion what do you mean other formats, but because in the IT world it is a very large scope of options. We're based on JSON files of the geolocations. Please feel free to reach out and on a precise question, and you'll get the answer. Yeah. Yeah. So the question from Poland was here: if we receive a delivery of some type of raw materials, wooden boards, already size streamed to our production needs with DDS attached in delivery documentation, how and where can we verify in the DDS is not a fake or artificially made in other wood, etc. Okay, so once again to emphasize, I think I did a couple of times the statement at the beginning of the discussion. So the process of the physical way we are creating a DDS, yeah. So gathering the information and submitting has nothing to do with the due diligence process of the risk assessment, risk mitigation, and checking the evidence if the source of the timber is compliant or non-compliant. Yeah. So it's not that you need to base on the DDS. Once you are your supplier is delivering you the DDS, feel free to ask him what due diligence system and process he is using, and do a check of at least few of transactions to show or being shown and being demonstrated what process is in place, and then you will have your right assessment and you will understand if it is cheated or not. We can add here that we have seen PEFC certifications which were false. Yeah, so it's not about receiving a certification and not understanding or not analyzing it. It is about, once again, the due diligence process, which is in which you need to have in place, and you need to be responsible for the evidence and proof of your suppliers and sub-suppliers. Yeah? There is a question, anonymous. I'm future studio selling the products on a daily basis. What my obligation according to the EUDR? If it's enough to find the platform, all the compliance with my business model. Okay. To answer the question, because I do not know if you will be classified under EUDR as an operator or not. Yeah? And you need to understand that irrespectively if you are or not, and that is our recommendation, you need to keep anyhow your due diligence process in place. Yeah. So just to explain you, I'm a small trader. I'm not obliged at the beginning to register a DDS, maybe in the future, depending, etc., etc., etc. My recommendation: you need to understand that you are in the supply chain. In the supply chain, there will be other companies who can be operators, or they're at the end of the supply chain is the operator. Everybody will demand documentation because an operator is a company with a legal liability on a due diligence process and evidence to be sure that the source of the timber is compliant. Yeah. So have it in mind, please. Yeah?
Swapping, if I can just pick this one up. So, a furniture studio, and I'm assuming this is inside the European Union, selling the products on a daily basis will be classed as a trader.
Yes.
Now, the traders will fit into two size categories: non-SME traders, in other words, large companies, and then otherwise the opposite would be SME traders. So SME in this case stands for small and micro enterprises. So if you are a small retailer of furniture based inside the European Union, then you are still placing forest and tree based products, in other words, wooden furniture, onto the market on a commercial basis. So you will be subject to the EUDR. And so what you need to do is make sure that anyone who is supplying you with that furniture, assuming that you're buying it from within the European Union, is complying with the EUDR. If you are a small company and you are directly importing furniture into the European Union from, for example, Vietnam or Indonesia, then you will be an operator. So you will be an importer of that furniture, and you will have all of the legal obligations associated with the importing activity. So it very much depends on the specifics. There is a huge amount of information on the EUDR implementation webpage from the European Union with FAQs to explain who is an operator, who is a trader, what their obligations are. It's very unlikely, unless you were a very large furniture retailer, that you would have to submit a due diligence statement and obtain an EU reference number. The likelihood is, if you are buying from within the European Union and trading on, every piece of furniture which arrives with you as part of a consignment will be accompanied by a European Union reference number from the Traces database. So I suggest you go and have a look at the FAQ website, and it will give you much more information. Thanks.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, as I try to emphasize, all depends where are you in the supply chain. Yeah, and obviously small companies are not required at the moment to submit a due diligence statement, but they can be in the supply chain that the next company in the supply chain has the obligation, and then basically will require the documentation anyhow. I mean, from you. And also to make additional, comment to that, from the real life cases where we're dealing, it should be your obligation to check the supplier. So if you're trading the furniture, even if it is coming within the EU, you should take your time and provide an audit check that really know that the supply chain you're dealing with is compliant. Yeah. Now there is a question because I was focusing on the partnership on the Timber ID within the entire supply chain. Obviously, Timber ID is working, and I said with a robust open API with any platform. So if in the supply chain there use different platforms, yes, there can be different ways of the document sharing and providing the due diligence process. Simply using one platform, it is giving us the capability, first of all, to have the full evidence of who shared what and when. Yeah. Otherwise, we can get it by email, and then we need to keep the evidence, and we need to store the documents we have received, etc., or V-transfer or other systems. So we need to have it in mind. But yes, we're not saying that Timber ID is a system which is not working with other platforms. Obviously, it is working in real life as well with others. simply emphasizing what the benefit is. There was a comment that I'm FSC certified company. The congratulations to all FSC certified, PFC certified. It is a great additional, I would say, risk mitigation part. It means you are already went through a process, but being certified doesn't mean you don't need to provide the full due diligence process under EUDR and have the responsibility depending if you are the operator or not. Yeah? To check the EU supplier, it's enough to find them in the platform. I would say our platform is the platform of our customer in the data. If you're speaking about the platform to traces, which is the EU one, if your supplier is delivering you the due diligence statement number, yes, then obviously he's from the EU and he already is the operator. He went through that process. Please have in mind that there are two levels of accessing the data under the DDS. Yeah, the first level, you are just having a number, so you know that this statement has been registered. The second level, you're getting a key to this number that you can access the data which are in the key. And the third thing, which is important, this is under discussion now in the last question and answers, is about the functionality of anonymizing the geolocations within the EU traces platform. We don't know the answer. We're waiting for the information coming from the Commission. Once they will answer the questions, and we'll understand what the statement on that will be. Yeah. If I am buying wooden elements from Polish sawmills, which are buying from Polish National State Forest, they will selling to EU market. You still have to issue a due diligence statement. So here again is a question, as Rob was mentioning, are you a trader? So you're buying, let's say, lumber, and you're reselling the same lumber to other countries, or you're a producer, you're buying lumber, you're building furniture, and you're selling furniture. This you need to understand. So as we were explaining, if you're a trader and you're a small company, you're using the due diligence statement you received to pass to the next buyer, which doesn't mean that the next buyer will not demand from you the information, because he can be an operator and he needs to provide his due diligence, process in a correct way. So it's not only about what you should do, it's about what your buyer will demand you to do and share the information. Yeah? That will be the way you need to understand your position in the supply chain. Yeah. To check the EU supplier is enough in the EU platform. In the EU platform, there are registered transactions under the due diligence statement, which can be transactions of multiple products. Doesn't mean one product, 10 products. Yeah. But we're talking about a transaction registered under a due diligence statement. It's not related to a supplier. Yeah. Every supplier or every company which will need to provide a due diligence statement must register in the Traces EU platform. But being registered there is one thing, and providing a trade with the requirement of a due diligence statement is another thing. Yeah. Okay. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. Answer though. This soft, is it obligatory by the PFC UDR, or is just an option? I mean, EFC EUDR chain of custody, process is one process, as Rob was saying, yeah, is being upgraded now from the previous one. And obviously, by obtaining here the certification, you're bringing yourself to a higher level to be recognized that you did a lot of efforts in the due diligence process. At the same time, it doesn't mean that you don't need to perform your obligations under EUDR. So the EUDR obligations of the process and the certification are two different processes. At this moment, I want to emphasize that we're working closely with PEFC to integrate the EUDR chain of custody process within the Timber ID platform. So we want to help to all those PEFC certified the customers to also have the evidence automatically placed on the Timber ID platform as the key element of the risk mitigation process here. Okay, I think we have completed the, unless you have any other questions. Yeah, we see by the number of questions that yeah, there is a lot of uncertainty to understand where I am as a company within the supply chain, what is my role, my obligations, and how I should need to position myself, and how I should need to address the EUDR obligations. So we're here to support you. Please reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions or any concerns you're having. Yeah. So I think we're coming to the end of the webinar. I'm convinced.
And there's a new question just arrived there. How will forest degradation be assessed in the software tool?
Okay, good. That's so we're talking about deforestation, and obviously we can read in the EUDR regulatory. Some parts of it are focused on the degradation as well. Yeah. So to come back to the first mile, concept. Yeah. So if we're keeping the full evidence and the proof of the traceability on an item level, we will be sure that we're not dealing with any product coming from a degradation place, because we completed the satellite imagery analysis report. We know it. We checked, and one of the due diligence process is also to be aware what's happening on the market. We should also understand what's happening if there is any NGO who is claiming that there is an area where degradation is happening. We need to be careful with that. We need to do analysis. We need to take the measures. The due diligence process is a live exercise. It's not we do once and we forget about it. We simply need to do it on a daily, weekly basis, especially when we're reaching out to new suppliers, or there are new transactions coming from different areas. Yes, the degradation element is very, very important here, because just to make a statement on that, yeah, the latest is not fresh; it's already a few years, but there is a analysis on the illegal activities on timber harvesting and timber sale. Yeah, so just to give you an idea, the report is saying that the activities related to the forestry and timber trade are assessed as a damage to all of us between 50 to 150 billion US dollars annually. Yeah? And I think that gives everybody a good understanding why we're having EUDR and why in other countries as well are taking actions on deforestation and degradation. Yeah, we simply need to take care of our planet, our climate, and we need to deal on a compliant basis with compliant timber. Yeah. Okay. Can when our client using timber ID can currently process the ODDS over the platform? I think timber timber ID platform is having an owner, as I explained, admin, and the owner of the platform is gathering the information, is providing the risk assessment, case mitigation, the due diligence process, the entire evidence, and is submitting the DDS. Yeah. So the responsibility is in this and in the area. If I can understand the question that you as a owner of the platform, admin of the platform, if you want to allow your clients to get access and use your platform for creating a DDS, in theory, the technology is allowing it because, as you have seen, you're creating your own roles and responsibilities, your own access members with different levels. So if you create, an access to your supplier and you're willing to give him the functionality of your system, yes, it is possible. But be aware that the responsibility is on you. Yeah? Can you please tell me how we should proceed with the wood which is not supplied from forest owners? I mean, other kind of wood as hazelwood. I mean, in the entire supply chain, obviously, different stakeholders are trading different level of timber. So, not where the forest ownership and the first mile is related just to the appropriate gathering of information, which can be then easily passed within the entire supply. I mean chain. Yeah, if you are in the middle of the supply chain, you can really provide your timber ID with the data with your due diligence. I mean process, getting the appropriate information from your supplier, irrespective where you are and what you're dealing with. But yeah,
can I just pick this one up, Swapan? So to answer Anna here, the European Union deforestation regulations require full transparency back to the forest area of all forest and tree-based materials. So, so there are some exceptions in terms of some tree-based materials which come from agroforestry or from agricultural areas, but these are very small exceptions. So most forest and tree-based materials will have originated in a woodland somewhere in the world or a forest somewhere in the world. So the geolocation data and the harvesting date, start and finish date of the tree harvesting is required for all forest and tree-based material, whether it originated inside the European Union, 27 countries, or whether it originated somewhere else. So wherever you are in the supply chain, if you are receiving from the 30th of December onwards this year, timber-based or timber-derived materials, you should know where it came from in the world, and there should be a geolocation data set or data point associated with it. And the best source of extra detail on this is to go to the EU EUDR FAQ webpage, which I've been sharing, and I'll type it in and share it here as well with quite a few of the questioners. So it's very important to understand that there are only very few exceptions to the rule here. Packaging of products is an exception. So, for example, if you're buying a washing machine and it's coming in a cardboard box or a wooden box from another country outside the EU, that particular packaging is exempt. There are some exemptions for wooden pallets where they are in a pallet pooling system, but otherwise, if the product that you are commercializing and selling or trading or making contains forest or tree-based material, then you will be captured by the regulations. Okay, hope that helps.
Okay. I see here, I think, what is in details the DDS, how to prepare it, what are its obligatory elements. So, as I presented it in our platform, you basically need to know the geolocation, as Rob was saying, just of the source. Yeah. You need to have the specification of your product, and you need to have the data of the customer, and these are the three elements which you need to use in creating a DDS statement. But once again, this is a process. It is you need to provide to an auditor your due diligence process, and you need to make it very clear what measures you have taken in order to acknowledge and prove that your supplier is compliant and you're using his product to produce, for example, your product, yeah? And place it on the market. Yeah, I think we're just reaching the end, and any more questions, we'll keep it still open, the Q&A part, yeah. And yeah, I mean, the number of questions are showing that we're really needing support, and I believe that, you know, the effort we made with Rob, I mean, today, to bring you a little bit closer to understanding the EUDR regulatory obligations, what you need to know. We've demonstrated to you the way how can you do it in a safe and efficient way, and you can execute it to be compliant. Yeah. So many thanks for all of you of joining us. We will continue with the webinars. We'll let you know when it'll be next one. It's a really busy I mean time. Oh, just one. I will answer a question which was not asked, but we're getting this question many times. Maybe it will help you. So if you are a sawmill or you are in production, you will have an inventory of a non-compliant timber, or you don't know if it is compliant or not from your previous deliveries. Yeah. So obviously you need to keep the evidence of what you have on your inventory, and you can use this inventory obviously in a due diligence. I mean process. You can't mix it with the new supplies you're receiving. You can use it for building your products or reselling it within the next months. But at any time of an audit, you need to demonstrate that this supplies inventories have been segregated and have been brought to the market under a controlled way. So have this in mind, especially for sawmills and producers, important. Good. So once again, many thanks for all of you, and yeah, see you soon on our next webinar. As I mentioned at the beginning, it is recorded, so I'll just, by leaving the meeting, we'll stop recording, and within 1-2 days you will see it will be published on our website on the news. And once again, Rob, many thanks for your time. Many thanks for your involvement. And once again, it's very great to have the close the collaboration with PFC. We are showing and demonstrating to everyone that we really care about the EUDR implementation, and we want really to keep all the processes in the correct way and help you to be compliant. So once again, many thanks.
Thanks, Swap, and I'll be more prepared next time with some slides. My apologies. So
no worries. I think people more like the comments than the slides. Yeah, but so it's all good. It's all good. Many thanks once again. Have a good day and all the best. Goodbye.
Goodbye.